Good evening, listeners. It's Tuesday night. We're in Bali. Would you want to be anywhere else? We've got a special guest tonight. His name is Ian Charles. Not to be mistaken for someone else.
Anybody bold?
How are you, Ian? What's going on?
I'm good, Stu.
All
It's
right.
great to catch up with you, mate.
Mate, great to see you.
Yeah.
You're an old. I hate to say old, but
Go on, say it.
you're an old punter around these parts.
I am, especially as I'm chugging on your wine right now.
Yeah, we'll catch up with you later when you're down the forge. So you must have a few stories to tell over the years. Down here in Bali, you're one of the stalwarts.
Still doing it. Still getting the love.
Yeah.
Stalwart.
When did you first come to Bali? Come on.
97. End of 97, and it was a bit of an odd one, really, because I was still relatively young. I was 24, 23, 24. Can't even remember how old I was. I'm that old now.
Kind of makes you old, whatever it is.
Yeah. And I arrived on a jet plane to come here and live, and there was like a New Year and Christmas sort of hit me with a bang here, and you know, as you meet Bali.
Wait a minute. Was there a reason why you came?
Yeah. Of course, one of my mates was here, who's already moved here, and said you got to come and check this place out. So
Carl.
No, not Carl. No, Carl came later. We'll talk about Carl. Carl came later. It was a guy called Charlie. Ironically.
Good on you.
If you believe that. And yeah, he was quite a good friend of mine back at home, and he was ringing my. I think he ended up ringing my mum's house back in the UK, because obviously there was no mobile phones then. Back in 97, or they might have been, but they're considerably pretty big at the
like
time.
Bricks.
Yeah.
And what did he say to your mother?
Yeah, he just said, you know, get Ian to ring me on this number, +62, blah, 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 blah. And I was like, oh, okay.
Ian's got to be here now.
Yeah.
Is that it?
More or less, yeah. And, yeah, I kind of stopped what I was doing. I sold my car. Looked at what money I had in the bank, looked at where Bali was on the map, because, let's be honest, back then, anybody from the UK didn't have a clue where Bali... Sorry,
you know where Ibiza?
Yeah, and, yeah, of course, Ibiza we call it, not Ibiza, Ibiza.
Sorry.
Yeah.
Sorry for being so Euro.
Got to get it right, Ibiza. Yeah. In fact, it might even be pronounced Ibiza by the locals, but it's just the Poms call it Ibiza. I'm not too sure.
Well, I was invited to go to Ibiza in 1982.
Well, you are old then, aren't you?
I'm very, very I'm proud of it.
82, Jesus Christ! What was happening in 82?
Well, I didn't go.
Was Pete Tong even born?
Well, that was much later. Well,
Carl Cox would have been 12.
I was in the north of Spain, right, and we were travelling around. There's a bunch of us Aussie boys, and this French countess, had this mansion up on top of the hill, and we used to all sort of hang out in. This is in. Some.
Oh, you haven't reached Ibiza yet. You're still in.
No, north of Spain.
Okay,
so I was in Cantabria. And she's saying, "Oh, you got to come. You got to come to this island, Ibiza.
Nice.
It's amazing." Blah blah.
Nice.
I go, "Is there any surf there, mate?"
And how old were you in 82, Stu? If you don't mind me asking.
I was 21.
Wow.
Yeah.
Jesus.
I'm a 60s child from
there. You are.
There we are. And anyway, so I didn't make it, and I have not made it. I've never been to Ibiza.
Is this about me or you, this interview?
Sorry, it's about you.
No, go on. Keep going. I'm
over.
Tell me about your first time in Ibiza. Come on.
I never went.
Come on.
I never went.
Oh, you never went?
No, that's my point.
Right, okay.
Then you take over.
Okay, right.
When were you there?
Well, no, I'd heard... Well, I mean...
You've never been there either?
No, I went once before. Absolutely, I mean, being a young lad. But, no, I heard that Bali was the Ibiza for Australians, when
Back-
really
back
it
in the
wasn't.
90s.
Well, no, but you know that you could have said that maybe, you know, late 2000s running into early
Well, they did, didn't
onesies
they?
or whatever.
But,
Yeah,
it never really was.
but it was good though, wasn't it?
I loved it.
It was great. It was
It was,
great.
no, it was never going to be the same as Ibiza because the laws weren't the same, right?
No. Yeah, well, they weren't the same, but there was a ton of things.
There was a moment there we got very close.
Moment, and that's why we're doing this show, and people can indulge this moment. There's still people alive that can indulge this moment. Fortunately,
They all loved it.
if they're not in jail already. So yeah, there was a great moment, and it was one to savour. And
Well, there's one that involved a lot of double six, right?
yeah, it involved a lot of double six and involved a lot of gado gado. You know, you ask anybody now what gado gado is, they'll tell you it's a restaurant on the beach. It wasn't. It was a nightclub.
Yeah.
And it was, you know, we from
Well,
what
there was other things too. There was Goa 2001.
well, there was tons of other things, but I've always wanted to ask you this because Gado Gado opened on Wednesday. Double Six was Thursday. Gado Gado was Friday. Double Six was Saturday. Am I right in
Yep.
saying?
Exactly.
And the rest of the week it wasn't open, right?
No, nothing was open.
Yeah. So in between there, you kind of scaled around between Scandals, A Bar,
Scandals.
maybe Denpasar Moon if you were a bit of a goer, and
No, wait a minute. This is back in the late 90s, right? You're talking about?
no, well, it continued. It continued.
No, because before... No. A-Bar... No, Taj Mahal.
Taj Mahal.
Did
yeah.
you ever go to Taj
Well,
Mahal?
I think that was one of the first buildings in Seminyak, apart
Yeah.
from the Legion and the Oberoi. Yeah,
It was across the road from Rumours.
it was across the road from Rumours. Yeah, I ended up there a couple of times. Wasn't my kind of thing. I'd love to know what the resident DJ was called at Taj Mahal, because he used to be the resident DJ at Scandals as well, and he was Chinese-looking fella. And I have no clue what happened to him, but he was.
He probably moved to Denpasar Moon.
Yeah, maybe. Yeah.
Denpasar Moon was actually classic, you know, those...
Well, it was classic
those
in
90s,
style, wasn't it?
2000s Indonesian style. There was like pitch black.
You couldn't see your hand
Yeah.
in front of your face. Yeah,
You had a lighter.
your dog's trying to get in here.
No,
you know that.
it's
Yeah.
not- we ignore him. Right?
Is that all right? Yeah.
Yeah, just ignore the bugger. Little bugger. He likes to come into the radio, but he never offers anything
No, doesn't know.
besides a bark.
Has he got any wine?
We could find out. I'll let him in.
There he is. Shall I let him in? Shall we,
I'll let
shall we
him
let him in? Come
Please. Anyway, Ian Charles, you know, DJ Ian Charles, I first met at Double Six, maybe 1999, which I have a photo of, a famous photo that I have from many years back. He doesn't look a day older now, but
on. Right, I'm back. We've got two dogs in the room. No, I mean, obviously when I met you in 99, I'd only been here a couple of years myself. When did you get here? Well, don't say I came on holiday for 10, 15 years before then.
yeah. No,
but then
I've been living here full time since 96.
96, okay. So what were you doing between 96 and 99 when you started the beat?
I had a company that we started in Spain.
Right.
But
it was furniture. Was it furniture?
92. No, it's jewellery, surfing kind of jewellery. I still
Right,
use surfing as porcelain, silver. Big Bamboo is called.
Big Bamboo.
Big Bamboo.
Nice.
And
nice.
we used
PT Big Bamboo, or was it just under the radar those days?
yeah, it's pretty much.
Hence your immigration connections now.
Yeah, and eventually, you know, everything sort of goes pear-shaped as it normally does. And I end up going out more. Next minute, I've got the Beat magazine.
Nice.
Yeah.
Yeah, I remember you telling me about the Beat magazine on the. I think there was something happening. It may have even been the opening of the Hard Rock. Can you think of that? Was it
98? That was 98.
98, 99? Yeah, Hard Rock Cafe.
That was 98. Yeah.
Was
there
it
was a moment it all got pretty crazy.
Was it 98 I met you then?
Probably, because 98 was like another formative year in Bali. It was like when everything was just booming.
I mean, you were telling me that you had this.
I think A Club, no, A Bar.
A Bar,
started around that
definitely. A
time.
Bar, 100%. Yeah, A Bar. Santa Fe's still there. Was the only, I think if you look down that street now of what was there and what is there now, I think Santa Fe is the only bar that was down there.
Well,
still now.
Well, now it's turned into the Warehouse, which is totally happening on many nights of the week, 3 nights a week.
Yeah, maybe I should get a gig in there.
I think they could do with a trance night.
But I remember you telling me that you had this idea of a dance sort of mag or club
and what
mag.
Did you say?
I said that will never work, and it earned you sort of God knows how much, and I'm sat here being interviewed by you 20 odd years later on. But did I say it wouldn't work? No, I don't. What do you say at 23, 24?
No, many people did say at that point that you've got to be kidding. There's nothing going on.
Where is your collection of all the Beat magazines, by the way? They're somewhere, aren't they? You do have every single one, don't you? Are they behind you over there?
Oh shit!
Can we find out?
I think they're in my other office.
Who holds the record for appearing in the Beat magazine the most times? It's got to be Pino, right? It must be Pino
for the first 3 years. I think he's lived in England since 2005.
He's got a little restaurant Warung in London. I haven't spoken to him direct, but I see
Indonesia.
It's an
Indonesian Warung?
It's an Indonesian restaurant, in
okay.
London, which he's doing okay with. I haven't spoken to him direct, but I just remember having a laugh with Kristen and Chris and all the Solitaire as they were known then, but recently
later became Solid As.
Later were Solid As, yeah.
Well, there's an interesting story where Kristen took me to Stadium for the first time.
Yeah, yeah. Go on, elaborate.
Well, that was 2001, I think it was 2002, maybe. I don't know.
Nice.
And
did I see you in there?
I mentioned that the other night.
Was it a Sasha night?
I mentioned that to someone else recently. I was walking through Stadium, and then suddenly I came into, to Ian Charles.
Yeah.
Popped in.
I remember bumping into you on a Sasha night in there. I don't think that was your first night, though, was it?
No, I think that was a bit wild that night.
Yeah.
With
yeah.
And it was the first night I did a number of things, and it was big. It was big. And why wouldn't you? That place was totally amazing.
4th floor or 5th floor?
To the sky.
Yeah, definitely. No, that's another whole hour in itself.
It's a total shame it all came to an end, but anyway, there we are.
It is.
Actually, it's funny. That was really heralding the end of nightlife, underground nightlife in Indonesia when they closed.
When they closed the stadium.
Yeah. It wasn't long after that they closed everything else here as well, and every other single hotspot, underground hotspot in Jakarta as well. Yeah,
but my whole view of the stadium is completely different than anybody else's, because when the bomb went off in 2002, sorry. What was 2001? That was another disaster, wasn't it?
That was the trade.
Oh, the World Trade Center. Yeah, sorry. Yeah, so I'm getting those mixed up. Getting my disasters wrong. Sorry.
Yeah. There were plenty back in those.
There were, wasn't there? And then we had the tsunami. What year was that? 2004.
2004.
So yeah, when I first went and moved to Jakarta after the bomb, I was going to the stadium, and it wasn't really that well. It wasn't that well liked in terms of who lived in Jakarta, in terms of people that wanted to go clubbing. It was very underground and very frowned upon when, obviously I didn't give a toss about it. I went there for the music and great times, but when I first went there, it wasn't as recognised as it was when it, in the later days when it closed. And it went through a very tough time for a while.
Yeah, but at the beginning, for the first 10 years, maybe less, it was very popular with the in crowd.
Right.
The celebrities and blah, blah, blah. And then it became this sort of underground joint where people died and young people were there and everyone's getting ripped off and everything else. It's underground.
Being raided and stuff.
In the wrong sense.
Yeah.
And then it came back again when I went back. And,
Of course it did. Yeah. I was waiting for that.
There was a young lady. I hadn't been there for years, probably don't know, 8 years.
A year.
8 years. 8 years.
Right.
And then I met someone, and she took me back there, and I thought, oh, God, this is great.
Like they all do. Well, what year was that, though?
That would have been 2013, 14 or something.
Well, didn't it close in 2012?
No, 2016. I think.
Did it really?
I'll check that.
Yeah,
But I remember.
Get on your Google. I don't think it was 16 that it closed. I think it might have been earlier.
It was maybe 2015. But
right.
It was definitely going, because I had the Beat magazine, and we closed the Beat magazine in 2016, 17.
Right.
And the writing was on the wall as soon as they closed the stadium.
And that was it. Oh, you closed the Beat Jakarta.
It was another.
Type it in. There we go.
That was another. I loved it.
Does DJ Bobby pop up? You'll find me somewhere.
You can play that song.
I love the way that he plays that. He played that in Shishi the other week, and it was like, you'll find me, and he dropped the crossfader, and all the crowd went, somewhere.
Gotta love that. Anyway, that's
he still gets them wet. Come on, where's your Googling? What's happening?
Yeah.
I reckon
RIP Stadium
14.
That's 2014.
There
May 23 in Jakarta Post.
2014.
I must have been that weekend. I remember that weekend. Oh, yeah, it's 2014. Jeez. Why did they stay 2 years longer?
I don't know why nobody's had the balls to open up another one somewhere. Like you can't have Bobby just holding as well as he does with it, and he tours around. Right. Why won't somebody open up another stadium? I think it's because of all the trouble that comes with it, isn't it?
Well, they don't sell many drinks, do they? They sell a lot of water. But as I said,
doing billions in water every week.
As I said to him, they should have, like what's it called? Illegals, right next door. They should have put Bobby on that weekend and just blasted
kept
away.
Going. Yeah. Transferred the money over to that account and off you go. That's it.
Exactly.
But you do know that Illegals was called Seribu Satu before it was Illegals. Yeah, it was called 1001.
I had been there.
There you go. Yeah.
With Russian. Malaysian
lawyer on again, doesn't it?
Multinational.
I only went there for the music, mate. I don't know about you, but not.
I went there for the spectacle.
Yeah. But nightlife in Jakarta now it's pretty abysmal,
boring.
It's bad. Yeah, and when I went back to see Chris a couple of years ago, and we'd go out to the normal spots, like you go for a couple of warm-ups in Bats and, maybe have a look in CJ's if you're
boring.
Pretty boring. But where do you go after that? That's the main thing. There's only the Coliseum that you can go to for a full-on stadium-style nightclubbing experience from what I could see. Tell me more. Tell me more.
No, I don't think Coliseum has ever come close to stadium.
Not at all, no. I've been there twice. I thought it was terrible.
Oh, horrible. Too much light to begin with.
Yeah. Terrible access.
I like the karaoke scene in North Jakarta. That was particularly wild.
Are you talking about ones that are already closed again, or are you talking...
All of them are closed.
Right, yeah.
Or even, there was the famous one, the Sands, that changed the name to... something. Tommy Renata joint.
Yeah, not talking
five star, everything.
Awesome, yeah. But then you're coming back to your Russians and your what's-its again, aren't you?
No. I'm just talking about what was on offer.
Right.
And the quality, they had these rooms and, the karaoke rooms, which everyone goes, oh, karaoke, that's pretty boring.
Yeah.
But, okay.
Took it to a different level.
Everyone has a bit of a sing-song.
Yeah.
And by, 2 hours later, it's
people
like,
are naked. Yeah.
Well,
that's...
No, it's like you've got your own mini club,
Yeah.
5-star luxury, anything you want.
Yeah.
Colour, size, price,
indoor,
whatever you
outdoor
want.
swimming pool and gymnasium.
I know it's not politically correct.
Yeah. If you coming back to a good friend of mine, Chris again, he's quite a celebrity superstar in Malioboro.
I love that place.
Yeah, but would you describe that as a nightclub or a karaoke joint stroke, let anything goes in a room?
I would just watch out for your wallet.
Well, if you go
It's still open now.
if you
right?
go in with Chris on payday, it's normally all good. But
I remember going one time, the first time I went there, and no one gave me any warning about what was going on. And next minute, you got all these, staff,
yeah,
jumping all over you,
Pat Stewart,
loving you. And they got this bolt-ons bracelet thing.
yeah, that's
that
it.
says how much people have swiped on you.
Once you're in there, you're the
And
man, aren't you?
I walked out, an hour later. It was like 7.5 million.
Yeah, and that was only not a quarter of the bill that was in there, probably. Yeah, what was the other joint that opened up in North Jakarta and closed? Just while we're speaking about spas and karaoke's.
Which one? Traffic?
No, something similar to that. It's gone now. It was the benchmark of those kind of establishments.
Crown.
No, we'll think of it in a minute.
Oh, they're fun. They're fun days. It's incredible, actually, how it could be
Isn't it funny how we start
the world's most populous Muslim country, and the capital city, and all this stuff's going on.
The best city in the world, or did.
It's a shame.
We were talking about Bali, and then we start talking about Jakarta. It's normally the way, isn't it?
Back in the day, in Bali was on par too.
Bali was great. I mean, anyone that knows or has been here since the late 90s or even earlier that used to go nightclubbing will know that there was a time between probably 97 and 2007 where it was just really, really good here. And obviously it started with Double Six and Gada Gada. I remember being, if you go down towards Anantara now, get to the dead end at the beach and turn left to go back towards Double Six, which was never there, you'll look and you'll see Gada Gada restaurant, which is half of it is outside and half of it is inside, right? I remember the tide and the waves just washing up to that. Kind of remember in the state that I was in between sets with Jimmy and Dede, that were the resident DJs there. It was right up to the wall. And I know it happens nowadays with these king tides.
Was it a tidal wave?
No, could have been anything at those times, but no, it was like the whole. That just is what made it lovely. You were right on the beach. You were listening to some really good progressive.
Back in those days, you never had a tsunami, right? You never heard of a tsunami.
Not really, no. Anantara wasn't there because everyone parked in the Anantara where it was, didn't they? Opposite, where the Anantara swimming pool is now. We're sounding really old now, aren't we?
The same as down in that parking area on the left side of Bachur, which later became Cocoon.
Yeah. Who remembers the parking guy in there?
I do.
The old guy. What happened to him? He must be still around.
Oh, I think
you remember that? It was
10
like
years ago.
Okay. Here's a question for you. What was Baccio called before it was Baccio? Can you remember the nightclub?
Euro Club, and then La Boheme.
But no, it was called something else before that. And they used to have people DJing up above. It was called. Now you said it, I can't remember it either. It was it had a big tree in the middle of it.
Oh, that was the Euro Club.
It wasn't called Euro Club.
Yeah, it was. Back way before.
Are you sure?
It was like a big.
It had a huge tree in the middle of
house.
it. Yeah.
That was Euro Club.
Are you sure? Right. Okay.
Look at that.
And then
La Boheme, which was the first of Gonzalo's La movement.
Was it really?
Yeah. Him and his wife.
Right.
They had that place, which never really, I used to do Beat Rockfest down there.
So how did it become Baccio then?
That was later.
Must have been
Syndicate was first.
A discrepancy.
Syndicate was first on the other side.
Syndicate, what Paparazzi wasn't it first? Then Syndicate.
Or was it the other way?
Oh, see, there you go.
All right, I don't know. We'll have to look at that. We'll have to look back in the old Beat magazines.
Old Beat magazines, yeah, Pino.
Ucha. Ivan.
But do you remember?
Ivan's no longer with us.
He's no longer. God rest his soul, Ivan. One of the first people I met here, him and Ucha.
Right.
But do you remember when Kadek had everything pumping with double six, Baccio, and paparazzi, or whatever it is you were calling it, syndicate, yeah, and there was Justin on the scene, and there was the
it was all happening, wasn't it?
Yeah, but like I don't know if you remember, but Justin started something called Two Tribes in double six, where he started bringing over the main DJs that double six had brought over, like proper parties that were happening in double six. So you had
from Australia or from UK?
Oh, from all over the world, like Tall Paul, Nick Warren, Tiesto, all the Sasha, Digweed, blah blah blah. I remember going into double six one night, and Nick Warren, Sasha, and Digweed played on the same night, and for me, that was, I've got to give it to him. That was Justin that put all that together back in the day, and really put double six on the map.
Exactly.
In the early days, in terms of international clubbing. But you go in there, and there would be literally, Timo Maas, blah blah blah. There would be somebody. Yeah. There would be 2 or 3 big names every month, and you've got to understand that he kind of put that together. Then later on became Faddy, James
twins.
Sullivan,
the twins.
The twins need a mention. It was their birthday the other day. Did you wish them happy birthday?
I did, of course.
I still don't know which one is which.
The Mo twins.
Irfan and Isan, yeah?
As we all go up to Bangkok, we always look them up.
They actually took the photo of my first flyer for a night called World Sound in double six, which was run by Faddy, which Faddy was running, and it was a half. He took it in the photo of paparazzi on a very dodgy night one night, and it looked really bad. He took it on a camera. I said, "That's terrible." I said, "Can you cut it in half and just use half my face?"
Were you off your
and he
face?
did. yeah. The other half wasn't too good, and he put it on a flyer, and it looked fantastic. I've still got the flyer today. So yeah,
it didn't
really
end
good.
up on the cover of the Beat. Did it?
It didn't end up on the. No, you never put me on the cover ever.
I think
never.
I tried. Always tried.
Can we have a cigarette break?
You mentioned a track. Give me a track. Something I'd find on Spotify.
What, that we can play now that I was playing back then?
Yeah.
Just maybe play Gat Decor Passion.
Wait a minute. Let's see what we got.
GATDECOR.
I'm
still trying to find the stadium opening date, aren't you?
I'm still trying to find Spotify.
Anyway. Oh, right, yeah. SP.
Hold on, everybody. Hold on. We'll cut this out of the repeat. What was it?
No, leave it in. It's great. It's called... I would have been playing this in 97. Gat Decor Passion.
That's the longest one, so let's do that.
12-inch. Get it on.
Naked Mix.
Yeah, it's a great track. Yeah.
We are talking to DJ Ian Charles on The Beat Radio. Hope you're enjoying the show. We'll be back after this track from...
Gat Decor Passion.
Love it. I think I know this one.
Hands in the air, Stu.
They're on the way to double six tonight, right? Oh, that's what used to happen. Like, all roads led to double six back in the day.
And stopped at double six. You couldn't get out, could you? Once you were in, you were in.
It's funny, wasn't it? all those dudes turning up with their wives and dropping them off. And
that's right, yeah.
Crazy.
Yeah. Love them.
You're listening to the Beat Radio Bali. And we're going way back. 20 years or more. Back with DJ Ian Charles.
I've got an absolute beauty for you as we roll into the next part of my my Bali life.
Right, what's that?
It's called Synesthesia by the Thrill Seekers.
Synesthesia.
Not synesthesia. That sounds like something. Sounds like
a disease,
like a really bad urinary disease or something. The Thrill Seekers Synesthesia. That's that was the next part of my life in Bali.
And how is that? What's that got to do?
Well, that was.
you?
I mean, like if we skip forward, I mean, there's so many stories in between that we could have told between '97 and 2002.
But they were considered to be the golden years,
the glory
of Bali,
days,
right?
the glory days, yeah, the glory days.
After the monetary crisis, is that what they called it?
Well, we didn't even touch on the monetary crisis because
that was '97.
Yeah, well, I mean that was all happening when I arrived. So, but that
was amazing. That was an amazing moment.
Well, it was an amazing moment because the rupee went from 1,500 to 17,000 in a day.
Wow,
so
a bit longer, but okay.
Yeah, we were all doing well then.
But the whole country. The whole Bali, everything else was, just about ready to hit the wall, right?
Well, it was all PDIP, wasn't it? Megawatty and then setting fire to the bypass and blah blah blah.
Was when Suharto was thrown out and everything else, the riots everywhere. It was pretty heady days, right? Yeah, nobody was really sure what was going to happen next.
No, but it's similar to now. I mean, like no one. We're sat here right now in this room, not knowing what's going to happen next, and we've been in this position a few times. Albeit now is a little bit different, but there's been so many different times in Bali when nobody knew what was going to happen next, and it always came through the other end.
Exactly.
Better than what it was before.
I think this time is the first time it's actually been global, and we are affected by it.
Yeah.
Every other time's been Bali is basically solo being smashed by something.
Yeah. Yeah. Indeed. Yeah.
If it wasn't the terrorists or
tsunamis or earthquakes or bombs or monetary crisis, then yeah, totally.
So, but we are prepared. We're more prepared than probably anywhere on the planet.
Here, right now?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And
we're doing okay.
Even with the COVID and the virus pandemic, we're probably more prepared because all of these weird diseases that we seem to get in this country makes you stronger.
Yeah. Well, somebody said to me the other day, actually somebody that I work with, which where I work right now is The Forge.
Are you going to plug it?
I think it would, The Forge. Come down here, been. It's the best breakfast, the best roast lunch on the island, best gastropub food, without doubt the best bar. Quickly.
Without the doubt, the best of everything.
Without a doubt, the best of everything. But one of my staff said to me, as you know, we COVID tested our entire fleet of staff twice the last 2 or 3 weeks, and
it's interesting you mentioned that.
Yeah, so
I'll tell you in a minute why.
It was protocol of what we should do moving forward, and I think most businesses have followed suit from what I've seen. La Favela and all the big guns that want to open or were going to open, but. I mean, I was in Circle K the other day on Petty Tonga, and there was probably more people per square metre in that shop than I've been the whole time during COVID. I think there was probably 16 to 20 people in the shop at the time. And when you take the grand scheme of things of nightclubs that hold 1,000 people and there's 300 people in there, it's very similar, right? You've got you've got the same sort of chance of maybe picking up something that you in Circle K. So it is what it is. And
well, right now we've got Galungan all over the island where everyone comes together and they're all doing the ceremonies, jam packed together. Yeah. Here we go.
But I'm
no, bring it on.
For me,
I feel bring it on.
Let them go. You know what I mean? It's like it's their island. It's their main ceremony of the year. That and Yippee or whatever. So it's just.
Sure.
I'm a firm believer in. Let's get on with it.
I'm a firm believer in herd immunity.
Yeah.
And let's get it happening more quicker than not. Because if we're just going to close every time there's a problem, it's just going to put it further back and back and back until we get this sort of thing sorted out.
Absolutely, and hopefully that will be, not too far away.
Anyway.
So after we had the Bali bombings, like the conversations we had earlier on with that fantastic pasta that you cooked, which was a sauce designed by Sarah Forbes, which is just a magic touch on it as well.
Central Java.
Yeah. I stuck around for a while. I had a bit of money in my pocket. I remember it being a very, very early wet season, end of October, November. There was nobody around whatsoever.
Yeah, very quiet.
And I stuck around for, I don't know, up until about Christmas in 2002. And I'd fortunately met a guy a year previously from Jakarta that came to a very, very famous nightclub in Bali, which we haven't mentioned yet, called The Villas nightclub. In 2001,
You were big on that.
where I was also the resident DJ with another guy called Graham Harding.
Whatever happened to him?
Graham's around. Graham's still here. He's
Bali.
he's still here on planet Earth. Although saying that, he does live in New Jersey, so I'm not sure if he's around or not. But no. I've spoken to him a couple of times. He's good. He's married. He's got a family. But we had some great times there in 2001, and there's a couple of people that I want to mention from there, which is a guy called Tim Valkenburg, who was who really took that club to another level in terms of sound, and also a guy called Johnny, who you remember, that used to run the surf school down on the beach there. Johnny, what's his last name? Kiwi Johnny?
Johnny Ripcurl.
Johnny Ripcurl. Johnny was running the place, and myself and Graham were the resident DJs. And anyone that remembers the Villas nightclub,
amazing.
There was three investors. One was Jim, and the other two have slipped my mind.
They all came unstuck.
Yeah, there was two or three of them. But that place.
Do you think anybody ever makes any money out of clubs?
But that place pumped.
No, they kind of lost their load, right?
Yeah, you loved it. Come on. You loved it.
Can I mention? I loved it.
All the 6 lot used to come there after 6 and come to the Villas nightclub, and it was an institution itself. And there was a couple of other DJs that were there. One was Taro, God rest his soul, who we lost late last year. Early this year.
Before the pandemic.
Ironically,
Cedric, the photographer. Well,
Cedric, yes,
the man from Bali tonight. We lost at the end of the pandemic.
Yeah.
Well, it appeared to be the end of the pandemic.
Yeah.
So it was started off with Taro, ends with Cedric.
Yeah, but those were the days. Also, that was right. 2000 to 2002, early 2002 was also a great time to be in Bali as well.
Bali golden years.
Yeah, and we actually made there was also another resident DJ called Ari, and there was myself, Graham, and Ari, and we all made a CD called The Sound of the Villas, and they were Sound of the Villas Volume 1, 2, and 3. And I lost them because they were recorded on DAT or whatever it was back in the day. And I caught up with Tim probably 3 years ago, and he still had it on his hard drive, and he gave me a copy of it, and I have that copy of it now. So that's really close to my heart. But anyone that's been here since late 90s and through the early 2000s will remember the Villas.
Villas, the amazing Villas.
Yeah.
Have you ever thought about having your own club?
Yeah. Well, yeah. Give me the money, I'll do it.
It does cost a lot of money, right?
But there's an awful lot of baggage that comes with being a nightclub owner. It's not just open the doors, play music, and I've got DJs. This, we live in Indonesia, and
chicks,
Yeah, well, the chicks we don't mind, but it's the other stuff that comes with it, isn't it? So.
No. I meant the bad stuff.
Oh, the bad stuff. Yeah, the underground stuff, and it comes with every single nightclub owner in Indonesia, unfortunately. But that's when I went to Jakarta. The unfortunate circumstances that we had in 2002. I moved to Jakarta, and I stayed there for 4-5 years. Was coming back, monitoring Bali every 6 months, playing some golf, looking around, looking at land prices. Absolutely gutted that I didn't buy any.
Back then.
Yeah, back then. So in 2000,
Heidi, there was Heidi.
2002.
Did you teach Heidi how to DJ?
You're actually pronouncing her name wrong. Her name's Heidi.
Oh, sorry.
Yeah, she'll kill you for that, Stu. Did I teach Heidi how to DJ? Have I got to say that Heidi was my girlfriend at one point? Is that what I got to say?
If you want.
She always wanted to DJ. And I always wanted to teach her how to DJ, but I was always too messed up to teach her how to DJ, if you understand that. So she kind of learnt in her own way, and she was on the crossover of, you know, Technics turntables into the digital zone. And
she also hooked up with Mumsa, right?
She hooked up with Mum. She did her own thing. She did her own thing. She switched boyfriends from me to the son of the living room. Without mentioning any names.
I remember when you came to the beat office one night in particular when you're K7, was it?
Well, K7 and 66, we were doing Judge Jules, if you remember that. That was a night that we did for Judge Jules, and that's actually, you said to me that I've never been on the front of the Beat magazine, but I have taken the Beat magazine front cover. In terms of paying for it before.
Did you pay for it?
We did pay for it, yeah, but unfortunately Judge Jules didn't show up.
Yeah, there's a drama, right?
And that cost myself and Justin an awful lot of time, effort and money because he didn't come.
Did you recoup?
We didn't recoup, but they sent another DJ by the name of Stefan K, who was just simply brilliant in his own right, but
not as big a name.
Well, not at that time, yeah. But
the
truth be known, can I
go ahead?
Judge Jules is a fucking idiot.
All right.
And let's leave it at that. Where is he now? Nowhere.
Exactly.
Nobody knows who he is. He's gone back to being a judge, I think. That's what he is. He's nothing.
Judge Jules.
So in the grand scheme of global DJs, where is he? Number 7,00046 or something like that. And long may that continue, because he really stuffed up my life.
Well, yeah. But anyway, it was at that point, around those years, early 2000s, that DJ world became kind of like credible, right? Like,
I think around that time is where Indonesia took off in terms of a country getting international acts into the country.
Right.
I'm not saying that I was responsible for that at all, or whatever, but.
You're a part of it, yeah.
Well, I like to think I was a part of it. James Sullivan was certainly a part of it. Rob Harker was certainly a part of it, because Rob was here for a long time.
All in. But I mean, like, worldwide, all these DJs were suddenly hot property, right? And like in the 90s, it wasn't so hot, but when you come into the 2000s and 2005 to 10, and suddenly DJs were hot property.
In terms of hot property, in terms of
making money, attracting big crowds.
They were always on good money. Yeah.
Tiesto in Amsterdam, I remember he did like 3 nights in a row. Yeah. There was 20,000 people every night.
Yeah.
You know, like that was the first time it was big, like big numbers.
Well, you can go back to places like the Berlin Love Festival and et cetera, et cetera. They were always very big, right? Well, it was a carnival, so people went by on floats playing house music, whereas it changed a little bit later on of a fixed venue to play house music.
That whole club thing didn't really start.
What year?
2000,
early 2000s or mid 2000s? Right.
Yeah, like. Well, for me, really, 2010s were the headiest period.
Are you talking about massive parties and huge DJs? Is that what you're saying?
Wild, wild nights.
What was your between let's say between a 2 and 3 year period? What was your best period in terms of clubbing?
It must be when I was in Jakarta. You know, doing the rounds with the printer.
Right. Yeah.
You know.
Yeah. So between what 07 and 010? 07 and 10?
No, from 10 onwards.
Really?
In Jakarta, anyway, because that's when I started having the Beat Jakarta, you know, from 2009. Here, funnily enough, I think it was just recently. It was all, you know, actually, Genja, when Genja first opened in 2014, through to when everything just imploded, which is probably 2017. That was 2018.
That was
Wait a minute. No, Genja closed last year, so a year before it was still happening. So 2018, it was still powering. Pyramid and all that, DJ Cafe, 6 o'clock in the morning, just going totally Furco.
Yeah.
That hasn't been seen since. I don't think.
Well, no, because
it's all closed. The whole thing's closed.
Well, it is all closed, but I mean, obviously the whole
Face Bar.
Face.
You know,
Do you go to
pretty.
Face Bar? Do you go to Face Bar? Mixwell.
it was open now ago. No, but no, but they were wild days.
Get yourself
for whatever
down to
reasons.
Annapurna.
No, face bar for their other reasons. But yeah, they were pretty wild days, and that was mint, right? Which you said before. After living room, because mums are in living room.
Well, what about Who Bar? We've got to mention the Who Bar, right?
Well, that was before. That was back in
Who Bar living room.
Well, from 2000, all of
Nip
2000
between
to
the two, yeah.
2010.
Let's not forget that.
No, it was fun.
They were
It was
iconic,
fun.
weren't they?
Yeah, it was fun.
Yeah.
There wasn't much underground about it, but it was okay. Phil Mimbibi.
Phil.
Bless his
Phil
heart.
Mambimbo.
We had some good times down there. Living room.
Yeah, living room. I think he was all right.
Mumsa.
Mumsa, yeah, he's
That's where
an
Mumsa
institution,
first.
really,
That's
isn't
where
he?
he,
Yeah.
where he first found his straps.
Yeah.
And I remember one night when I was there and I was with Rudolf Data, and we're sitting around that circular or whatever
Bar.
square bar in the middle.
Yeah.
And I say to Data, look at this. And we turn around and everybody's got their hands in the air around the bar. Just go, and then they put it down and they're back talking again. I go, you see that? That's what he does. That's the DJ, man.
No, he's I love the Ginger days, and you know, we actually had Wisdy recently DJing in Shishi on Saturday night, who's one of the Ginger crew, who DJed with your son John.
Yeah,
so
yeah.
and
They did a great job.
They did.
I
What about the warm up DJ that played beforehand? What did you think of him?
Amazing.
You missed it, didn't you? So you didn't come down and see me DJ. The first time that I've DJed in 12 years now.
No, since the week before. But anyway, I tried
He's back. Ian Charles is back.
I tried to. I tried. I definitely tried. And I was over in Sonora. I really tried to get there. But you had already finished when I got there.
Oh, damn.
Anyway, but I'll just point out this what John and Wisdy played the other night in a very small crowd. Totally uplifting. You know, everyone else is playing this chugging, you know, house or tech house, whatever it is. And they came on, and it was like confronting. Like there's this, I don't know, Gloria Gaynor or just bomb, just like, and you kind of get off your seat and you go, oh shit, what's coming on here? And then wakes you up.
No, it's good. I mean, it's refreshing.
It was interesting. You know, people should get down there and appreciate that shit.
Well, they have been in their numbers, but you know, we won't go too deep into it. But yeah, I mean, look, it's the statement that Shishi put out is we're here to keep people in jobs and to keep people living. Also, there's an economic crisis as well as a health crisis. So, Shishi will be back Thursday to Sunday as of next week.
Yeah.
And you know, the Forge,
but it's still open this week.
It's still open this
Friday,
week.
Saturday, right?
It's still open this week, Friday, Saturday. You know, we'll turn it back on Thursday, Sunday next week. But for me, you can have any kind of experience in there you want. You can chill out in the bar and the restaurant downstairs. James Ephraim does the full menu downstairs. You've got the club floor, and then you've got the rooftop, which is, you know, kind of where the trend of the market is going these days in terms of R&B and hip hop and blah blah blah. It's not really my box of frogs, but
they seem to love it, don't they?
They do. They do seem to love it. Yeah, they do.
I'm not sure why, but
are you going to play one of my favourite tracks that I used to play in?
Please. What is it?
In the Villas nightclub.
What is it?
Tim will like this. Right, it's by the Thrill Seekers. Yeah. And it's called Synesthesia. And it's the original mix from 1999.
All right. So what does this track
1998
mean to you?
it is. This was kind of for me, defined my trance era when I was playing trance music here. You know, for the 5 years that I did play it here, and it's just for me, it's a standout track from the trance era.
Which remix?
It's the original remix, 1999.
Original mix 1999.
There it is.
Epic trance.
Wham Bam Boogie.
And we're going to go out with the show with this one. Thanks for joining in,
Wallop.
Ian.
Well, that was only 97 till 2002. Wait.
Well, there's another 90, I'm sure.
Right, here we go.
Okay. Now, what is this one? What does it mean to you?
It just sums up my whole time in Bali, DJing in Double Six and in the villas.
A lot of trance in the villas?
Absolutely, yeah. This absolutely pumped.
Ian Charles in the villas.